Is this truly the end of an era, or are we witnessing the most disrespectful farewell in Raptors franchise history? We've just seen the final chapter, close on the 2019 championship roster, with Chris Boucher's departure from Toronto. The most legendary underdog story in our franchise's history has reached its conclusion, and the cosmic basketball forces seem determined to test every ounce of loyalty we thought this organization possessed. The mysterious circumstances surrounding our last champion's exit suggest there might be some shocking behind-the-scenes decisions that most fans are completely overlooking about how we treat our own legends. I'm about to reveal the brutal truth about what really went down with Boucher's final season. What's up, Raptors Nation? Quick Court coming in hot with another deep dive for all you basketball junkies out there. Hope you're all crushing it today, rocking that red and black, and ready to understand the strategic thinking behind our rebuild. How exactly does a championship player transition from cornerstone to moving on? And why does this decision actually make sense for everyone involved? Drop your thoughts down in the comments right now, because I've been analyzing the roster construction and timeline that explains exactly why this move benefits both Chris and our organization. Seriously, stick around until the end, because I'm about to break down a development strategy that will absolutely change your perspective on how smart rebuilds actually work. The writing has been on the wall for months, but now it's official. Chris Boucher's incredible journey with the Toronto Raptors has come to an end. After 7 years in Toronto, the last remaining member of our 2019 championship team will not be returning. This isn't just another roster move, folks. This represents the final transition into our new organizational era. Let's start with what we all need to acknowledge. Chris Boucher's story with Toronto is nothing short of remarkable. Undrafted, overlooked, and written off by almost everyone, Chris turned a two-way contract into a 7-year NBA career and a championship ring. He went from sleeping on Montreal buses to hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. The Raptors gave him an opportunity when no one else would, and he gave us everything he had in return. That's a relationship that worked beautifully for both sides. But here's where we need to understand the business side of basketball. The Raptors are in full rebuild mode now, and when you're rebuilding, every roster spot matters. They've committed long-term money to Jakob Poeltl, brought in Sandro Mamukelashvili for front-court depth, and drafted Colin Murray-Boyles with a 9th pick. Add in Jonathan Mogbo from last year's draft, and you're looking at a crowded front court with younger players who need development time. What do you think about this approach to roster construction? Is prioritizing youth development the right move? The math is straightforward but telling. Toronto has roughly $176 million committed for next season, putting them dangerously close to the luxury tax. Meanwhile, they're investing in their core pieces like Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quickley while making space for player development. At 32, Chris doesn't fit the timeline of this rebuild, and everyone involved understands that. Here's what's actually smart about how this situation unfolded, and this might be unpopular, but hear me out. The organization did right by Chris throughout his entire tenure. They gave him opportunities to prove himself, paid him well over $50 million during his time here, and allowed him to showcase his abilities. That late season benching that some fans criticized. It was actually about giving minutes to younger players who are part of the future, not disrespecting Chris. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this breakdown. We've got so much more Raptors content coming your way. This is how professional rebuilds work. You honor your veterans while making space for the next generation. Chris got to experience something most players never do: winning a championship. The Raptors got 7 years of energy, effort, and production from a player who embodied their developmental philosophy. It's actually a perfect example of how the relationship between player and organization should evolve. Now, let's talk about Chris's future, because this story is far from over. Multiple teams could absolutely use what he brings to the table. The Miami Heat make perfect sense. They need front court depth behind Bam Adebayo, and Pat Riley loves veteran leadership. Chris could reunite with Norman Powell, who was just traded to Miami this summer and was also part of that 2019 championship team. Where do you think Chris will land? Drop your predictions below. The Heat connection is particularly smart because Chris would slot into a winning culture that values exactly what he represents: championship experience, defensive versatility, and professional approach. Eric Spoelstra has always maximized role players, and Chris's ability to stretch the floor and protect the rim would complement Miami's system perfectly. Other logical destinations include Atlanta, who need front court help, Charlotte, who could use veteran leadership, or even the Lakers if they want to add depth. The reality is that Chris will find a good situation because he's proven he can contribute to winning basketball. Looking at the bigger picture, this move represents everything positive about how the modern NBA can work. Chris maximized his opportunity with Toronto, becoming a champion and setting himself up financially for life. The Raptors benefited from his energy and production while developing a culture of hard work and professionalism. Now both sides get to pursue their next chapters with mutual respect and gratitude. The reality is that rebuilds require difficult but necessary decisions. Every single piece from that magical 2019 run has now moved on. Some retired, others traded to contending teams, and now Chris pursuing his next opportunity. Even Masai Ujiri, the architect of that championship team, departed the organization in June 2025. That's not a failure of loyalty. That's the natural evolution of a championship team whose core aged out of their competitive window. Chris Boucher's departure marks the end of an era, but it's also the beginning of exciting new chapters for both him and our franchise. This is how professional sports should work. Mutual respect, gratitude for shared success, and smart decisions for the future. We should be grateful for what Chris gave us. Championship memories, incredible energy, and proof that the Raptors' way of finding and developing overlooked talent actually works. He should be grateful for what Toronto gave him. A platform to showcase his abilities, financial security, and a championship ring. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because we'll be tracking Chris's free agency journey and bringing you all the latest Raptors rebuild updates. Let me know in the comments which team you think will sign him and how you feel about this approach to roster construction. Until next time, trust the process and keep that Raptor pride alive. Raptors Nation.